All right, so we're here in the Gigabyte suite. Actually, we're only sort of in the Gigabyte suite, and don't worry, I will explain this, all of this, a little bit later. Linus Tech Tips coverage of CES 2016 is brought to you by Squarespace. Build it visually attractive to the eye, also known as beautiful. So we're actually on the AORUS side of things. That's a sub-brand that they have for gaming notebooks, and they're showing off a couple of pretty cool things. So first up is the AORUS X7 DT. So the DT is for determination, because AORUS was determined to take a desktop GPU, and I'm sure the DT has nothing to do with that, in this case the GTX 980, and cram it into not just any old 17-inch laptop, because we've seen 980-based laptops kind of all over the place at this point, but to do it in their signature thinner form factor. So it also features a refreshed Skylake processor, DDR4 RAM, M.2 storage, it's got a 17-inch screen, that same signature aluminum construction that is as beautiful to the touch as it is to the eye, but now with even more performance. Now, remember, the thing about the GTX 980 in a laptop is that we don't know exactly how it's going to handle its power and thermal limits, so maybe we'll have to check this one out in the future. Let me know if you guys want to see that, but I am definitely excited to see where they're going with this one. In terms of I/O, they've made some upgrades as well. So on the right side, you've got your USB 3, you've got your HDMI, you've got your mini DisplayPort, and yes, that is USB 3.1 with a Type-C connector. Unfortunately not Thunderbolt, however. At the back is power as well as another USB 3, and over here on the left next to their G keys, those are programmable macro keys. Actually, they've got some new macro functionality, including like profiles that you can create for different EQ settings and all that, depending on applications that you launch. So that's kind of neat. Then they've got Gigabit Ethernet, HDMI, VGA, another USB 3.0, and audio. Now, the one thing that I continue to criticize about AORUS laptops is the fact that they use a glossy, that is a smooth glass touchpad. So they're half of the way there. Glass is good, but I'd like to see frosted. They've got another model here that's pretty similar to the previous X5 as well, but with one key change. Now, it's still available in the dual 965M SLI configuration, but in addition to some updated I/O, so again, we've got USB 3.1 Type-C. This time over on the left side, this puppy features up to a 970M single graphics card if you prefer the non-SLI gaming experience. Which brings us, of course, to the last thing here in the AORUS suite that we're talking about, and the reason for the get-up here. This is their new, well, not new because it doesn't exist yet, but whatever, upcoming limited edition versions of the X7, X5, and X3. The main difference between these and the other ones is they have severely downgraded the specs, and it is all about the looks. Just kidding. It's exactly the same laptop. So you get the same aluminum construction, but they're using water transfer technology to use this like super hyper thin film, and then they take the components of the chassis itself and they kind of like dip it into the water that holds the film on top, which allows this camo finish that they've developed, which is actually based on a multicam, like legit military finish, to be not only on the flat surfaces like you'd be able to do with a traditional vinyl wrap, but also on things like even, fan or speaker grills without losing any of the overall pattern. Now, each of these is basically hand done, and no two are going to look the same, but with that said, if you guys are like, well, I wouldn't want to look the same as that anyway, because it's like camo. Well, actually, you may have an opportunity to influence future AORUS designs. So they actually allow you to submit ideas through their forum. That's where this whole thing came from. And if you're like, yeah, I'd love one that had like a super completely different design, this technology allows them to do pretty much anything. It's really cool, and depending on the region, the specs of the limited editions ones will vary, but assuming that the specs were apples to apples, it only adds about $100 to the cost of the laptop and makes it really freaking unique looking. So guys, thanks for checking out this video in the Gigabyte suite. Don't miss any of our CES 2016 content, and of course, don't miss an opportunity to build it beautiful with Squarespace.com. Head over to squarespace.com/Linus. Use offer code Linus to save 10% on building your beautiful website, hopefully with pictures of me in this getup all over it today.